You were listening to From Sobriety to Recovery with Jesse Mogul. Let's get to the show. Welcome back to From Sobriety to Recovery. I am your host, Jesse Mogul. I am in addiction recovery. I am sitting in the dark, 9:49 p.m. on a Thursday night, and I have come to the realization that my time of doing these episodes in a relatively dark room with nothing but blue light on is about ready to come to an end. I'm going to be moving this podcast over to YouTube somewhere between episode 297 and 300. And by moving it to YouTube, I'm still going to be available on whatever auditory streaming device you have been listening to me on. So whether that be Spotify or Pandora or Apple or whatever, there's a lot of them, and I'm on all of them. You'll still find me there. I will just be simultaneously shooting the podcast for YouTube, and it's going to be really interesting because I'm going to have a microphone set up to record directly into my computer, so I can record these via Zoom and utilize that for the YouTube portion. And then I'm also going to be wearing my headset so that I can get the audio and utilize that directly for the Spotify streaming device. And whether I maintain that or not, I don't know, but I'm really just trying to hustle this into fruition quicker than sitting here and messing around with a bunch of microphones and figuring out the best way to do this. And ultimately, it might just be recording it directly into the computer and utilizing that audio, but I really like my headset, and it makes me feel like an airplane pilot, so I don't want to get rid of it. So I'm excited about that, but part of the process of doing that is that for it to be recorded for video, YouTube, I need to have lighting, and I have great lighting in my office, professional lights that I purchased back during my days in Hollywood. It's just that I really like sitting in a dark room with just these blue LED lights lighting up the entire room. So I will, at some point, try to figure out a way to get the blue or the red or the purple, whatever color I've chosen, and I am very visual in that regard. So like red is for chilling out, blue is for getting my mind going. There's times when I go shift it into purple. That'll be a lot for writing, which is what it is right now. It's sort of purple, but then there's these other lights that are around the window that are blue. So the whole room is very tranquil. And that will be coming to an end soon, whether I'm either shooting it during the daytime to utilize ambient light or whether I'm shooting it in front of lights. If you've always wanted to see me shoot this podcast and my facial expressions and how animated I can get, then that dream comes true sometime between episode 297 and 300. And I think we're at 292 with this one. So let's hop in, because this is going to be a continuation of the routines that we talked about last week, because I have gotten so much feedback, albeit a majority of it comes from the tribe and my clients who listen to it and then come back with feedback and questions, a lot of questions about how to really amplify up their nighttime routine. And without going back and listening to that episode to figure out what I may or may not have said, I'm just going to start pulling a lot of this content out of the coaching conversations I've had this week, as well as some emails that have come in from listeners and some social media DMs that came in asking me questions about it. So I will do my best to cover all of them as I begin to pour through this. And for those of you who found that super interesting, the talking about the morning and the nighttime routines, then you're really going to enjoy this continuation. If you found that lame and stupid and didn't care for it at all, then you're probably not going to enjoy this episode. I don't know if lame and stupid is the way anyone would have quantified it, but certainly there are infinite possibilities of existence on this planet, I suppose. But let's discuss it, because one of the cool things that I realized having shot that episode was how my conscious awareness around my nighttime routines really did kick up a notch, and what I noticed about it and some of the things that I think are really important that we denote around this topic. Because I think one of the errors in our way we can have when we think about our routines, and this won't just be nighttime and morning. We're going to discuss routine. I almost said every routine, but that's ridiculous. That's an infinite amount of routines. But we're going to discuss how routines are created, how they're activated, i.e., triggered, how they begin, and where they are in your life. They're everywhere in your life. You have a routine around how you tie your shoes, how you get in your car, how you walk into your home. You have routines everywhere, and they're activated by a particular thing that occurs on a consistent basis. Now, whether you're aware of this or not is really subjective to your self awareness of yourself. But certainly the morning routine's a pretty obvious one because an alarm goes off or you just wake up naturally if you're one of those amazingly awesome people who can just, I wake up every morning 3 minutes before 7. That's awesome. Way to go, internal mechanisms and clocks and all that jazz. But for the majority of us, so an alarm clock wakes us up, some auditory cue sets us alight, and then we get up and we just start doing what we do. Now, certainly if you Google this, and I did decide to go down a bit of a rabbit hole and Google and found a myriad of blogs, found a ton of stuff on YouTube about this, and it is all just the same stuff. It's almost like they asked ChatGPT to explain what you would want to do when you first woke up in the morning, and it's like, seriously, like you could just, it's like copy and paste from everybody. But I will cover some of that in here because not all of it is humdrum. Some of it actually does make sense. It's just a matter of whether you're going to utilize that step in your routine on a day-to-day basis. Back to what activates these. So many things activate these. What I think is integral for you to realize is that unlike the morning alarm clock, not every single activation, and again, I'm going to use activation instead of trigger, attempt anyways, but I will still use the word trigger. If you are triggered by the word trigger, then you should go to jessemogul.com, ask me, and you should click on the button for some 30-minute one-on-one time with me, and we could discuss how you have anchors around the word trigger and what that might be saying about your mental health and where we might be able to help you in that regard, because it's just a word. It's what you picture in your mind when you hear the word that causes the visceral physiological shift in your mind and your body connection. It's just a word. In some cases, it's actually a thing on a weapon, which is where obviously we started using it from. But anyways, I digress. If the word trigger triggers you, there's a conversation to be had there, jessemogul.com/askme, and you can hop on my calendar and we can have that phone call. Now, when you are activated on your morning routine, super simple, alarm clock goes off. Now, what I've noticed about myself is I have a lot of different activation points in my day when different parts of my day are to begin. Now, as a person who's been listening to this show, that I recently took on a restaurant job back in February to pay down some debt and to be able to fix some things around the house. That's working out splendidly, and I also got a job bartending at the Orion, and gotten some more clients, and I've gotten some corporate workshops and some facilitation opportunities. So things are going well on that front. And when I come home from the restaurant, that is my activation for my day to really start. Albeit I just spent 6 to 8 hours at a restaurant being able to bring in some income, that's that stage of my day. And when the alarm clock goes off, my morning routine for that is go straight to the bathroom, brush my teeth, do my hair, put on my uniform, and grab my bag full of water bottles, protein shake, and my little Mio juice that I spray into my soda water during the shift. And I'm in the car generally about 15 minutes from the moment my feet hit the floor to when I'm in drive. Which means if I've got to be there at 6 in the morning, my alarm clock goes off at 5:30, feet hit the ground at 5:37, 15 minutes later, which would be 5:52, I am in my car and I am pulling up into the parking lot 7 minutes later, and by the time I've walked to the computer, I'm clocking in on time at 6 o'clock. I have done this so many times, I have down to a science. The beautiful thing about this is that I don't need a lot of time to wake up in the morning. I am ready to go. I don't want to sit there and drink my coffee and stare off into space for a half an hour and get myself ready. I've trained myself over the years to just hit the ground running. And that's that's from the SLS in Beverly Hills, that's from the Roosevelt. So I'd really trained myself, and I'm going to discuss how I've trained myself to fall asleep here a little bit later in the show. So I can be up for 15 minutes in my car driving. I mean, within a half an hour of the first time my eyes opened, I am opening up a restaurant, making coffee, and doing all that jazz. And then that's when the shift starts. My activation to go into Jesse server mode starts the moment that I touch the door and I walk in. That little fan that turns on when you open up the back door, it makes this very specific noise. And it's like that entire thing. It's like I'm walking in, this fan comes on, the door slams behind me, boom. I'm now in broken egg mode. I am a server. This is what I'm doing, and that's what I'm focused on. And I do my server thing, and then as soon as I walk out that door, that's my activation to get out of server mode. So here we are, 2 in the afternoon, restaurant closed. Walk out that door, it makes a very similar noise. The fan comes on, door slams behind me, and that's it. That part of my day is done. I get a fan and a slamming of a door to greet me, and a fan and a slamming of the door to say goodbye to me. And boom, it's done. And now I'm in my car and I'm beginning the activation phase of the rest of my day, which again isn't really the rest of my day. To me, it's the start of my day, because the restaurant job is just something I took on in order to facilitate paying down debt and to not have this master's degree saddle me with $50K in student loans. It is just a piece of my puzzle. And so by the time I'm home, here we go. Walk in the door, and now it's time to say hello to the girlfriend. That's an activation. So now I'm in the home mode, right? We're going to do boyfriend stuff. We're going to chit chat, find out what her day's been, see if she needs my help with anything around the house, find out what's been going on. All right, everything's good to go there. Grab my coffee, my soda water, my bottles of water, and now it's time to go up to the office. If it's a workout day, then within minutes of being upstairs, I've already got the workout video on. Like, I don't sit down. I don't, oh, my feet need a rest. I need to take a little break. I just got done working 8 hours. F that. It's time to go. My day is actually just starting the moment I get home. And now I walk up those stairs, and that's the activation for my afternoon routine. Is it a workout day? Great. Let's get the computer. Let's plug in the memory stick. Let's turn it on. Let's get it fired up. Let's turn A State of Trance on YouTube onto the big TV, and let's get my workout in. That's about 45 minutes to an hour. I do all of that. And see, that's a routine, because I'm watching this video, I'm following along. And that's what I really want us to all understand is this routine. It just becomes steps that you do in order to complete something. That's what these routines are. I've got a routine when I wake up. Well, you're doing that routine to get yourself out of the house, to go to work, or to get ready for your day, to start working from home. Whatever that morning routine is, it's leading you somewhere. And then another routine starts, and that could be going into your home office, or it could be driving into work to clock in somewhere. Whatever that looks like for you, it's going to be different for all of us, but the morning routine leads you to the getting to work routine, which leads you to the at work routine, which leads you to the lunch break routine, which leads you to the end of the day routine. Now you've got the drive home routine. Now you've got the walking in the house routine. Now you've got to figure out what you're going to do when you're in that house. And if you want to make great changes in your life, you cannot just go all willy-nilly letting things just fall into place spontaneously as your day progresses. Because when you do that, you leave yourself susceptible to your emotions dictating what you're willing to do. And most of our emotions are going to tend on the side of tired or grumpy or cranky or hot or cold or whatever we feel in the moment. It's going to set a mood. And I don't want my mood in the moment to dictate what I'm doing today. I have dreams and ambitions and goals and realities. There's things I want to get done. What can I do today to set up future Jesse for success? And future Jesse could be 3 hours from now, 3 days from now, 30 days from now, 30 years from now. What am I doing today to set myself up for success? Maybe I should have started the episode off with that, because that's why routines are so freaking important, guys. Because when you come home from work, yeah, I get it. You're right. You worked your ass off. Your feet are probably tired. Your hands might be aching. Your neck might be hurting. Hell, your eyes could be throbbing. You got to pick up heavy shit at work, or you got to look at a computer screen. You got to listen to corporate accounts payable Nina speaking repeated 74 times in the cubicle next to you. It could be a myriad of things. But if there's other things in your life you want to accomplish besides just going to work and having enough money to scrape by to pay your bills, then you're going to want to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and decide when you walk in that front door that you're going to do something different than what most people would do. What is your walking in the house routine? What is your afternoon routine, your evening routine? And yes, again, I understand that there's a bazillion variables, and you might work from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 p.m. at night. And so I can't possibly come up with every single scenario in this show that my listeners out there, people just like you, are going through. I mean, what are you going through? where are you able to bend it around and start to figure some things out? Because if you want to change in your life, yeah, I've known people who have put in a 12-hour workday and come home and sat in front of the computer for an hour and a half every single night working on their business until they could finally launch something and start bringing in some money. And then 3 years later, they're able to quit their job. It's just about what you want to figure out. I've got friends right now that are working 3 jobs to get through school. Hell, I'm working 3 jobs to get through school. Like, I don't tolerate telling myself no. I'm just not, right? Bear rips off my arms, then we'll have the conversation about why I can't type. Otherwise, it's full throttle. And so when I come home and I walk up into the upstairs bonus room, what am I doing? Am I working out? Let's get to that routine. When that's done, generally I let myself lay on the floor for about 15 minutes. I might even doze off. When that 15 minutes is up, that's generally whenever the TV quiets itself down automatically, and now the silence in the room tells me it's time to stand up. What am I going to do? Am I going to go in the computer? Am I going to work on AmCon? Am I going to work on the podcast? Am I going to work on some of my client notes? Am I going to work on school? I've already got it figured out because it's already in my priority 4 focus list. And now that the workout's done, I walk into the office, and now my office routine begins. I grab my water, my coffee, my vaporizer, whatever it is I need near me. Am I going to be at the stand-up desk, the sit-down desk, or the big computer desk? I've got 3 desks. I got to figure out which one. Generally, it's the blue desk, which is where the laptop sits. The stand-up desk is in the middle of the blue desk and the big computer desk, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm only at the big computer if I've got to be working on design elements for the website or design elements in general. If I'm designing and creating, then that's the one because it's got a stronger engine than my laptop. Otherwise, I'm sitting at Big Blue, and I'm in my little office chair, and now we're ready to rock and roll. And I've got a whole set of steps that I immediately open up schoolwork, and now I'm in school routine. And now it's go in, it's look at what the assignments do, it's copy over the prompts over to Grammarly, it's immediately looking into the school resources to see what information they've provided that will help me answer it. If I don't find enough information there, then I go to the school library and I start searching for things, go to Google Scholar, start searching for things, get 3 different citations, and now I go into the writing mode. It's a routine, and if you remember back in August, I was having a meltdown because I couldn't figure out how to write these things in a timely fashion, and things that used to take me 6 hours are now taking me roughly about 30 to 45 minutes. 1,200 word papers that were taking me 25 hours are now down to about 4. I don't count research in there. It usually takes about 2 hours to do research, but the writing of the paper is down to about 4 now. So in one solid afternoon, I can get the entire thing done. But even then, I have a research routine. I have a writing routine. I've got all of these different routines for it, which are just steps of service that allow me to get to a completion. And that's what I was talking to my clients about today, because a lot of them were like, okay, well, then I need to come up with these 3 or 4 things to do every night. And I want to jump into this immediately. I am not saying that you need to be doing the same things every single day. I'm saying that you need to be aware of when your nighttime routine is supposed to start. So one of my clients as a kid, the kid goes to bed at 8 o'clock. Right? I'm like, okay, great. When you and the wife close the door and the kid is to sleep, what are you doing with the next 3 hours of your night? What are you doing? Do you want to spend time together? Do you want to spend time apart? Do you want to read? Do you want to watch TV? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to play a board game? Do you have an intimate conversation? Do you have an intimate conversation? Right? What do you want to do? And if you sit there and say, well, what are we in the mood to do in the moment? Yeah, it's probably sit on the couch and stare at the TV. But is that going to get your relationship and your very few hours of alone time to a place that you're going to be happy about? So as soon as that door closes, that's the beginning of their nighttime routine. So they decided that they were going to make some tea, they were going to sit down, they were going to read out of their Stoicism book, and they were going to have a conversation about that day's daily Stoicism for 30 minutes. And from there, they would either choose to play a board game, continue with the Stoicism conversation, and they both like to game, so they might play a video game together for about an hour. Then they would turn on one of their favorite shows, watch that for an hour, and then they would begin to do their brushing of the teeth and washing of the faces, and then that would be their 3 hours. And then they turned that into their routine. And sometimes they game, and sometimes they play a board game, and sometimes they go for a walk. But either way, when the bedroom door closes, that's the activation for their nighttime routine. And they chose the Daily Stoicism book as an opportunity to sit down, have some nice tea, and just have a conversation about that day's stoicism. So beautiful. And as soon as that's done, they've got 2 hours. So because they want a half an hour for their brushing of the teeth for their closing routine. So what is it for you? When do you want your nighttime routine to start? What is it when you walk in the door from the work? Do you come home? Maybe you've gone to the gym before. What is it that your activation moment is? Because here's the thing. I have a couple. So I come home from work and I've got the afternoon routine. It could be working out, then it's going to be some office time, then dinner's at 6:30. We've managed to keep that pretty firm. 6:30 is dinner. We're done with it at 7:30. We walk till 8. We watch an hour of television together till about 9. Sometimes we'll push that to like starting up at the next episode or something, but by 9:30 the girlfriend wants to go to bed, so sometimes we might just sit there and talk a little bit, but either way, between 9 and 9:30 she goes to bed. And as soon as I kiss her goodnight and she goes off to bed, that is the activation for my nighttime routine. And my nighttime routine is going to consist of school. It's going to consist of from sobriety to recovery stuff or American contingency stuff or website stuff. There's a lot of different projects I'm working on. So I'm not at a loss for things to do. And I've already figured out what needs to be done that day. So if it's a school night, then it's time to sit down and get to that. And generally I'm started by no later than 9:30. Occasionally I'll start it as late as 10, and I get myself about 2 to 3 hours of work. So by midnight I start to gauge where I'm at in my flow state. Am I doing good work? Am I capable to continue going while still being able to maximize my concentration? If I say yes, then I start to notice what I am working on and can that be wound down so that by 1 o'clock I've left myself at a really good bookmark so that in the next day when I go pick up this project to work on it again, I can immediately get back into my flow state. I'm done working sometime between midnight and 1. Now I've shut the whole office down. There's even a routine for that. And then I walk from my office door and then down the stairs to get into the kitchen. As I walk down the stairs, that is my activation for Office Jesse to shut down and for late night routine Jesse to start up. I go downstairs, I grab my protein powder, I grab the cup, I go in the freezer, I grab out my frozen fruit, I immediately whip up my protein shake for the night. I figure out what little snack I get. Sometimes it's fruit, sometimes it's a protein bar. This week it's been birthday cake because I turned 48 and girlfriend made me this dope ass like carrot cake. It's 2 carrot cakes with a cheesecake in the middle of it with cheesecake frosting all over it, and I have definitely gained 4 pounds this week. I haven't been working out. I said no working out. I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to eat cake for a whole week, and it's been awesome. And that's the beginning of my late night routine. And I get an hour to watch TV. So sometime between midnight and 1, that routine starts. I watch my episode. And sometime between 1 and 2 is when I shut the whole thing down. And sometimes my brain doesn't want to deal with TV. And so by the time I'm done with my protein shake, then I immediately brush my teeth, because if I do decide to watch a little bit more television, because I've got more time allotted to me, right? So I'm done with the protein shake and the sugary snack in 15 minutes. I've still got about 45 minutes of TV time allotted to me, but I go ahead and brush my teeth, so that's done. In case I sit down on the couch and I start to nod off, then I can just turn it off and go straight to bed and call it a day. So that's my late night routine. And because I've got such a well choreographed late night routine, I can watch TV right up to when I go to bed. Hell, I fall asleep with my cell phone 2 feet away from my face with an one of those AirPods in my ear watching some sort of YouTube show. And again, that could be What If Alt Hist, Windover Productions, Real Life Lore, Geography by Jeff, How Money Works. It could be anything. Sometimes it's, I got into Genghis Khan not too long ago. So I started watching like History Scope, all these different history things. And, my algorithm knows me. So it spits up pretty awesome things. I can't watch anything about fantasy football as I'm trying to go to bed because my brain wants to think about that. So no fantasy football, no BDGE whenever I'm trying to fall asleep. That's not going to work. But definitely anything about history or, What If Alt Hist, Windover Productions telling me about, how mega ships get from the Saudi Arabia to the LA port, stupid shit like that. Right? I'm falling asleep to that kind of stuff. And my phone's automatically set to turn itself off as soon as the YouTube video is done. And then, I wake up the next morning to my alarm, and there we go. And I will stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning, even if I have to be up for work. at 6 a.m. the next day or 7 a.m. I pretty much maintain that same sleep pattern. I might go to bed around 12 or 12:30 on a 6 a.m. morning, but that's not that's not positive. This last week I was up two back-to-back nights for I only got 4 hours of sleep, but I've trained myself to do that, and that's what I want to ask you. What have you trained yourself to do? Like, I didn't just go through all of this stuff right now about my life because I think it's that exciting. I went through it to let you know how much thought I have put into this stuff. And I've been doing this now for at least a year, this nighttime routine of protein shake, brush teeth, watch 1 hour of TV. I've been doing that since I moved to Alabama. There was a different routine back in the day when I lived in LA, but certainly this is the routine I've picked up since I've moved here, and definitely since we moved into our new house. These are my routines, and I've set up walking up the stairs, walking down the stairs, walking in the front door, walking into my office. Getting on the walking treadmill is my favorite way to do research. These are little activation moments that let me know now I'm in a routine. This is what I'm doing. And when I was talking to some clients today about this, I was like, what is the activation for your routine? Because it doesn't need to be the same thing. And yes, you may have gone to baseball watching your kids play baseball and you don't walk in the door till 8 o'clock. But if you're not going to bed till 11, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to drink a protein shake. You're going to get some steps. You're going to balance your budget. You're going to read a really cool book for 30 minutes. You're going to journal for 30 minutes. You're going to do some step work with your sponsor. We don't just get to shut it down and tell ourselves that we've earned sitting on the couch staring off into space or doom scrolling. That's really? Come on, man. Come on, guys. I get it. We all need to do our little self-care. I don't see how doom scrolling is possibly a part of self-care because sometimes I get super riled up or jealous of other people's lives or just think, what the fuck is these people doing? Why am I watching, somebody, I don't know, dig a ditch in their backyard for 4 hours? I don't need to be doing that. Okay, that I actually did watch that. I didn't watch 4 hours, but I fast forwarded and noticed because I'm digging a ditch. Anyways, the point is that you're going to go and you're going to Google this stuff, and you're going to hear about nighttime routines, that you need to wake up and fall asleep at a consistent time, right? That 1 hour before bed, you should be going to the bathroom, brushing your teeth, washing your face, or you should be showering, you should be journaling, you should be posing questions to yourself that will cause your unconscious mind to bring you to a higher state of consciousness. You're going to find videos talking about blue light and music volumes and melatonin releases from the pineal gland, and there's going to be yoga, and there's going to be stretching. Read a book, but make sure that it's fiction and not nonfiction because you want to have your brain shutting down, not thinking. So read an autobiography or read a really cool book by Dean Kuntz because he's like the dopest author ever. Figuring out who else is in your house. Is their routine going to affect yours? Here's the thing, is that as many times as I've read these blogs or I have watched the YouTube videos talk about how you shouldn't be having your phone by your bed, and you should leave it in your bathroom, or you should, right? It's like, or you could be listening to rain sounds. I don't do any of that shit. I used to listen to rain sounds, but now I fall asleep watching YouTube, and I get that my eyes are closed. I don't leave them open, and sometimes I completely turn away. I just want to listen to it. I do it. I break all the rules. Now, all of my devices are set on that yellow nighttime feature, even my laptop, all of them, even in the middle of the day. I don't have them on blue light, haven't had them on blue light for like 5 years. And yes, I've watched a video today that said that that's not the same and you need blue blocking glasses. I don't need any of that stuff. I've trained myself to fall asleep. Hell, here's how deep the rabbit hole goes for me. Back in 2002, 2003, I was fucking blowing lines all the time, and I was doing it at ridiculous hours. And yes, we've talked about my cocaine issues. It's one of the reasons I'm sober. And I realized that I was getting myself so high that I couldn't fall asleep, and I was laying in bed till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I have to be back up to go to work or school at like 9 a.m. So I spent an entire year training myself to lay on my right-hand side for 5, 10, 15 minutes and thinking about today or the past or something like that. Then I'd lay on my left-hand side and I would think about the next day. And then I would lay on my back and I would begin to breathe deep and sort of visualize sheep jumping over a fence. And I did this for an entire year. I'd go right side, left side, back, and I would just do this high as hell on cocaine. And I mean, sometimes it took me hours, but I convinced myself that if I just did this every single night, eventually my mind and my body would realize that this right left back thing was the signal to go to sleep. I was inadvertently, I didn't know they were called anchors at the time, but I was setting up a physiological anchor for my body to realize it was time to shut it down. Right side, think about today and yesterday. Left hand side, think about tomorrow. Back, turn it all off. And if I couldn't fall asleep within 5 to 10 minutes of being on my back, then I'd start the entire rotation over again. And over the course of that year, it worked. And still to this day, I can lay on my right hand side for 5 minutes, left hand side for 5 minutes. Generally, I don't make it to my back. Or I'll start noticing the nodding off when I'm on either side, and I'll just immediately roll to the back, and that's it. Done. And I'm asleep. Have you tried maybe rolling yourself around and trying to come up with a certain way to shift your body? I put a pillow between my legs. I got the room relatively chilly, 72 degrees most of the time. Right? These are things that you can do, but not everybody's nighttime routine is going to work for you. You might like watching some Instagram, but do you know how to turn it off? You might want to watch some YouTube, but do you know how to close your eyes? You might want to finish up your night with some TV, but can you turn it off halfway through an episode because you're just not that into it and it's time to go to bed? Or if they leave you on a cliffhanger for the next episode, can you just turn off the TV and watch it tomorrow? Like it took me 4 different nights to watch this movie called Damsel on Netflix. It's got that Bobby Brown girl from Stranger Things. And I would watch it for about 20, 30 minutes, and there would just be a good bookmark moment. I'd be like, all right, we're good. 30 minutes, that's all I wanted. I started getting bored of it. I picked up my phone, started opening up TikTok. I was like, okay, if you're going to open up TikTok while you're watching a movie, you're clearly not into the movie. Go to bed. So it took me 4 nights to watch a 2-hour movie. But I don't need to watch the movie so bad that I'm going to keep myself up till 2:30 in the morning watching the movie. That's not the rule here. So all of this stuff to just really lay out to you how much I actively use this stuff that we're talking about. And yes, I went on and I watched Jim Quick. Huge fan of Jim Quick. Met him in person once at Metal. Awesome guy. Not a big fan of his YouTube stuff. It's mostly just these product placements throughout. He droned on about the mattress he sleeps on for a majority of this video I watched about him doing the nighttime routine. But he did talk about not having a TV in the bedroom, being mindful of light and temperatures in your bedrooms. And I get all of that. I don't have a TV in the bedroom anymore. I don't want that in there. I try to make sure that, there's very few things that need to be done in a bedroom, and watching TV to me is just not one of them. And honestly, I don't even go in and read or anything. I mean, girlfriend's been asleep for some cases 4 or 5 hours by the time I get to bed. And so it's immediately just lay down, flip on, put in my mouth guard, plug in my vape, plug in my phone, and lay down. I got this really sweet pillow when we bought the mattress. It was like $100 pillow, this memory foam thing that's got this little curve part so that my shoulder can slide up into it, so that my neck can lay flat. Had this pillow now for 2 years. Doesn't even feel like it's aged a day. Absolutely love this pillow. I found one recently on TikTok where it's got this very weird shaped pillow where you can slide your arm up into it, so that you can it really balances your neck and curvature and a place to put your arm. It's super interesting pillow. If you guys follow YouTube Shorts or TikTok, then you have seen this pillow that I'm talking about, because it just seems to keep showing up in my feed. So, you know how the TikTok shop is. It's just constantly trying to sell you something. Hell, the other day I saw something like $11 shoes. I'm like, I might buy $11 shoes. Let's see how well they work. But all of this to say is that I really want you guys, and I think I've said all this to say multiple times in this episode, is that a lot of people get hung up on that these routines are supposed to be the same thing. Yes, you should probably go to the bathroom and brush your teeth and wash your face before you go to bed. Yeah, that goes without saying. But when people hear nighttime routine, that's what they think that it is. Oh, it's what I do right before I go to bed. But it's not. It's not. That's your late night, or that's your going to bed routine. But what is your nighttime routine? What are you going to do to really amp up your life? I'm not going to try to force my subjective perspective on anybody, but I have a pretty good indication that if you're listening to this show, you want something more from your life than just clocking in, clocking out, coming home and staring at the damn television and having that be your world for the next 20 years. You've powered through an addiction. You are potentially still working on getting over that addiction, or now you're starting to get yourself into recovery and even long-term recovery. We did not sign up for this aftercare of ourselves for the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years of our lives, and part of that being just sitting on the couch watching the world go by. I specifically have created these routines because I know that the mind craves habits. I know that this is what the mind wants. So what are your routines? I mean, for fuck's sakes, I care about steps so much. I went out and, well, girlfriend bought me this walking treadmill for Christmas. And I put together this stand-up desk by getting the tabletop off Walmart.com, 4 legs off of Amazon, and then I got these little riser things from Target. And I pieced this entire thing together for roughly about $100. Whenever a stand-up desk, most places, if you buy one that they want to already have figured out for you, it can be $200, $300, $400. And I'm over here figuring out tabletops and drilling legs in myself because I'm not paying $400 for what amounts to a tabletop with 4 legs on risers. But I wanted to have this ability to stand up, and then she got me a walking treadmill, so now I can do that. So now I'm getting steps while I'm studying. It's fantastic because that's how much the steps matter to me. So now I have a step routine, and now I have an ability to do these things. Like, if you want to make changes in your life, then you have to figure out how to make time to create those changes in your life. And even if you're working 12 or 15-hour days, 5 days a week, then on those other 2 days, what are you doing? Because if you think that, well, I earned sitting on the couch, I'm not saying you didn't earn sitting on the couch. You choose what it is you've earned. And notice I said earned, not deserve. I don't think we deserve anything. I think we've earned things. You can earn sitting on the couch for all you want for 8 hours. But is that going to lead you to the life that you want? And if you allow your emotions in each and every day to dictate how tired you are, how motivated you are, then you're going to pretty much fall back into your baseline default strategy, which could be sitting on the couch watching TV, or it could just be doom scrolling on social media or getting on Reddit and arguing with people about whether the earth is flat or round. Is that going to get you to where the hell you want to go in life? Your nighttime routine isn't your going to bed routine. That's your going to bed routine. Your nighttime routine is you asking yourself, what are you going to do tonight to set yourself up in the future for success? It comes down to that. It is not that you need to do the same thing every single night. It's that you need to be doing something every night. And yes, you can have those times where you decide that you're going to sit in front of the couch and watch the TV. By all means, I'm not here to tell you not to do that. But you have to make the decision. Is sitting on the couch watching the television going to get you where you want to go? Now, sure, if you are a TV critic, it will definitely get you where you want to go. But if you are not a TV critic or somebody who gets paid money to watch television, and if you do know about a job where you get paid money to watch television, would you please send me over the link to apply for that job? Because there's absolutely a part of me that would love to get paid to watch television. That would be awesome. Awesome. Especially the Lazarus Project. I would love to get paid money to watch the Lazarus Project. I think that's what the YouTuber Emergency Awesome has created for himself. He has literally created a job where he gets to do nothing but watch TV and then shoot videos about it. I mean, that's a pretty dope-ass freaking life if you're into all of that TV watching. I think it would drive me mad after a certain point. But certainly I would take it on as a part-time gig. So that's what I wanted to say about nighttime routines, is that this idea that it has to be the same thing. And go back to those morning routines. If you're one of those people that has to have 30 minutes to wake up, then you want to journal for 20 minutes and read the Bible for 20 minutes and then meditate for 45 minutes and then stretch for 10 minutes. Like, that's a lot of stuff you have to do in order to get your day going. You know, my sister has to get up like an hour before she wants to go anywhere so she can put on her makeup, which is understandable. But if she ever wants to get somewhere in a hurry or she's really tired from the night before, that's a really complex routine that she's got to put together for herself. And she has come up with some shortcuts, certainly, but still, that's what she has chosen to do. So she gets up early and is able to pull that off. My girlfriend, she likes to get up and be able to play some solitaire on the computer and just drink coffee and be left alone for 30 or 45 minutes when she first wakes up. Meanwhile, she can come in the room and be like, hey, we're supposed to leave in 25 minutes. And I can be like, cool. And I can be dressed and ready to go at the door in 15. We all have our own systems. I want you to locate your system. And you don't have to start getting ready for bed at the same time every night, or even go to bed at the same time every night. Mine does fluctuate by an hour or two, but for the most part, it is within that midnight to 2 a.m. window. And I don't honestly believe that. I do not believe it. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock 3 nights in a row, that in order to maintain a proper sleep schedule, you need to always be going to bed at 9. No, I think you could go to bed at midnight. If you can get yourself to sleep those extra couple hours so that you get your 7 or 8, but don't listen to all these blogs and all these YouTubers try to sit here and tell you that these are the criteria that make up a good nighttime routine. To me, the criteria that starts off the acknowledgement that you have a nighttime routine is the self-awareness to know when the nighttime routine has begun. Because a lot of us walk in from work, or we put the kids to bed, or we wash the dishes after dinner, and we turn around from the sink or from the door we've just closed with the kids sleeping, or put our keys from the drive into the bucket by the front door, and then we're like, okay, well, now what do I do? When you come home from work, sure, you might be getting out of your work clothes. When you put the kid to bed, you might be going and picking up around the house, or whenever you are done eating dinner and cleaning the dishes, you might turn around and immediately want to go outside and get some steps. But you need to understand that those are the activations for the next steps in your routine. What do you want to do? That's the bottom line. What do you want to do? And then get that down on paper and figure out which night you want to do it. Figure out which day in the afternoon you want to do it. Figure out which time in the morning you want to do it. The morning, afternoon, nighttime, workout routine, all of these, they're completely subjective to your perspective. What is it you want to achieve? For those of us that are new into the sobriety and recovery journey, your morning routine could just be getting up and getting out of bed because your body feels like shit still. Your nighttime routine could be going to meetings for the next 30 days. That's great. That's fine. And when you come home, what are you doing? Right? Maybe it is time to sit down in front of the TV, or maybe it's time to pick up a really good book that you've always wanted to read, or go buy yourself a $30 xylophone off Amazon and start learning how to play the xylophone. Like, I don't care what it is you choose to do. I just want you to consciously be choosing it and plan for it, and not let your emotions in the moment dictate that you're not going to do it. Because most of our emotions are going to want to shift us back to default, as I said earlier, to just the habit that we're already used to. I have created this school habit over the last 7 or 8 months, and I love it. Just like I love sitting here in the dark shooting this podcast. And at some point, you're going to get to see me doing it on the light. And right now, I'm literally just leaning back in my chair, shuffling a deck of cards over and over and over again while I sit here staring at show notes that I didn't follow. So it's completely subjective what you choose to do for your nighttime routine. Just do something, because nothing is going to change in your life unless you choose to change it. All right, my friends, if you want to know more about this, jessemogul.com/askme. You can go to coaching. You can go to the NLP button. It'll open up to a form. Give me some information. We'll hop on a phone call. As always, inclusivity over exclusivity, the power of positive energy, release, and flow. Every day is the best day of our lives when we wake up sober. Shout out to Sunshine and Robert. Glow on, my friends. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.